as well. Let's see who we have on YouTube. I see Beach. I see Mars. I see Trump.
Looks like Chris was here.
Oh, Chris is here. Guys, let us know how the audio is. Jonathan, I see you on Facebook. Yeah, audio is great. Truman on Facebook is saying audio is great. Thank you. Muhammad Adel on Facebook is saying I'm here from Facebook. Hi, Muhammad. GV is here. Okay, great. Scratch is here. Perfect. So before we cover the news, we're going to cover the news on atheism, religion, secularism, politics, and everything in between. But before we do that, we have an announcement, right? Exciting
Yes, we
announcement.
do.
Wait,
So,
Shubham, you need to mute
Oh,
yourself. That was our agreement. You completely forgot. Okay, Ali, exciting announcement.
exciting announcement. So, Atheist Republic is now a 501c3 in America. Um, and this is exciting for everyone who has ever supported us, everyone who is going to continue to support us. We can now do tax deductions, give you tax deductions for your donations to us. And you can now go to Amazon Smile and you'll be able to donate to us. I think this week is when that'll be active. So anything you buy off Amazon, we get a little piece of it, which will be great. A great way to help us. And you can also start your own. Once you get it set up through Facebook, you'll be able to start your own fundraisers for us as well.
Yes.
So everyone who's ever asked us about this, and I know you guys have been asking about this for years, how you can donate to us using those things, now you can. So this is big
This
news. This is great, and we're so excited to be a 501c3.
So people that don't know, because a lot of our audience are not from the U.S., so 501c, that means that we are an official charity in the United States. So far we have been a non-profit organization, incorporated non-profit organization in Canada, but we now, which wasn't able to give like tax deductions or anything to people that donate to us, but now we are a 501c, right? In
That's
United
right. Yeah, 501c3.
C3. That means like we could do, finally do serious fundraising for Atheist Republic and finally be able to hire a video editor maybe and do a lot more of the things that we had planned to do that we could never afford. And this is amazing. And this is all because of you, Ellie. Like, thank you.
Thank you.
This is amazing. Like, I didn't honestly know that we could, and so fast. Like, we got approved by the IRS, and
So fast.
the reason why it was so fast because you and the people that you're working with went in ahead, because the Satanic Temple also tried to get and they got their 501c or C,
501c3.
C3. Sorry, I always get that. But it took them a couple of years, didn't it?
It took them a long time. I know that other atheist organizations have, like, such as American Atheists,
Hmm.
even sued the IRS because non-religious organizations are being kicked back by the IRS.
Right.
And so companies like us were not able to get a 501c3 easily. But the group that I worked with, they knew the inner workings of the IRS inside and out. They knew what was going to be flagged in our application, so they were prepared. They were completely prepared for us to even be rejected. But they went ahead and gave it their all the first go around, and we were accepted.
Wow.
So yeah,
Less than a few months. Like I thought this could take a year at least. But amazing work, Ellie. Amazing work.
thank you.
Uh, okay, so enough of that. Let's go to the news. What's the first news?
Our first news is out of Vellore, Tamil Nadu. The body of a Dalit man airdropped from a bridge after an upper caste community denied permission for funeral procession. This is just more caste news from India. So a Dalit man died in an accident on Friday. And the relatives needed to take his body past some land to get to the burial site. But the upper caste people who owned that land said, no, you're not taking him through our land. So they actually had to tie ropes around his body and lift him up to a bridge to get to be able to get across their land into the burial spot. And the reason why this is news now is because somebody filmed it and it went viral. There was a video of them doing that went viral, but it turns out that this has actually happened quite a bit, where upper caste families will deny permission to allow a Dalit family to take their family member across their land to get to a place where they can bury them.
This is so fucked up. Shubham, analysis. We have our...
Yeah, so I mean, this is pretty common. Okay, and Tamil Nadu, this state is one of the most progressive states in India in some ways. Well, it also holds many superstitious beliefs and superstitious people. Like for example, this one. So here could be two cases. I mean, this is one of the case could be like this is just outright caste discrimination because they were Dalits, they were not allowed in the land. And there's another case which is possible, but it is still superstition. That is, they did not allow the dead body. I mean,
Right. Okay, so here's
so
a question.
dead body is impure, and that's why they won't allow it on their land. It could be that.
It could be that, but more likely the caste, because they are...
More likely it's the caste.
Because they're upper class and these people were lower caste. What do you say to people say this is not Hinduism, this is just local culture?
This is absolutely Hinduism.
Yeah, and it's actually...
This is absolutely Hinduism, all right. And also, it's this news is not. I mean, last week it is one of the two caste discrimination news. Even why is it caste discrimination? Because in the other news there was this school, village school, which was giving students different colored bands, wristbands, to identify their castes.
What?
Yeah, that's bullshit. And also the education minister of the state said that they won't take any actions against the school.
Wait, what?
That's
Holy
the education
shit.
minister of the state said that they won't take any action against the school discriminating.
So wait. All the Hindus in my comment section keep telling me that the caste system is not a big deal anymore.
It is.
That's bullshit.
Okay.
I'm sorry that we hear that all the time.
Right.
We always hear that the caste system has been abolished. It's the same thing as in America when people say there's no longer any sort of racism against African Americans because slavery isn't a thing anymore. That's bullshit. There absolutely is still discrimination. It happens constantly. We have the news of it, and anytime we want to report the news, people say it's fake news because it's not an issue anymore. And I'm sorry, they're wrong.
Well, legally it is true. Caste discrimination is unconstitutional and banned in India, but this is India.
Sure.
Who follows the laws?
Right.
Okay, yeah, we always, every time we have something that makes Hinduism or India look bad in any way, we have some people saying it's fake news. We do have one comment.
Shekhar Mishra.
Yeah, can you read that?
Yeah, distorted news. Caste angle was not required. The permission to pass through private property was denied by security guards. The issue has been there for 4 years. If a person has ingenuity to bring ropes to a funeral procession, he knew what he was going to do if not allowed to trespass.
So
well, all right.
Before you continue,
yeah.
let's just clarify. This is a top comment that is saying this news is distorted. So, and because this is a security issue, right?
Yeah, he's saying. He's saying that this is a security issue, but let me say, like, in India, if you own a piece of land through which there's a road where often people pass through because it is a shorter distance between two places, usually, in most cases, they usually let the people pass through. They're not like, oh no, this is my property, you are not allowed to trespass.
Right, and it's interesting.
In most cases, this happens, and they were stopped because they were Dalits. I don't have doubts about this.
And it's interesting how a lot of Hindus, when they want to defend this kind of stuff, they say like, oh, you guys are foreigners and you're trying to make India look bad, but most of the news that we report on is Indian news, with Indian news with no anti-Hindu bias. And for all of these to be fake, for these Indian news organizations to all of them saying, "Oh, this was an anti-caste discrimination," and all these people like, "Oh no, this was distorted, that was distorted." It seems to me that they're suggesting that the Hindu sources are anti-Hindu, which is weird. Like we are
I
basically
mean,
going at sources that is coming directly out of the country. But go on.
okay, I mean, you guys are foreigners, so they can say this to you if you report Hindu news. But I have been called a foreigner by people because I talk against Hinduism.
Okay, that's
Like, yeah. And also, I mean, they have loads of insults for my race. I mean, they call me a shitty Bengali against Hinduism and everything. And that's just them.
okay. Anyways, let's go to and Ali. Should we go to next news?
Yeah, next
Wait,
news
wait,
is
wait.
out of.
Let me load that. Sorry. Okay, go on.
Next news is out of Australia. Young Muslims traveling across rural Australia to challenge misconceptions about Islam. Over or around 60 young men from the
Ahmadi.
I'm so sorry if I'm not pronouncing this right,
Ahmadi.
Ahmadiyya Muslim Youth Association. They're going to be traveling from 6 cities to meet together and go on like a 7-day kind of trek to spread Islam. It's called Discover Islam Road Trip, and they're going to be teaching different people around Australia how peaceful their religion is, let them ask questions about Islam that they haven't been exposed to before. They're going to be going to 6 different cities, but 50 different towns along the way while traveling to those cities. And the Journal of Muslim Minority Affairs suggests that about 70% of Australians know little to nothing about Muslims or what they stand for.
Yeah, and they don't know much about Muslims, and that includes the fact that Ahmadi Muslims don't represent most Muslims. Okay, these are one of the fringe. It's so I mean, okay, Ahmadi Muslims are mostly pretty nice people. Okay, but they're also pretty dishonest when they go out and spread Ahmadi Islam and tell people this is Islam, given that their Islam is one of the most fringe groups. If there's only one thing that unites Sunnis and Shias together, is the fact that Ahmadi Muslims are not Muslims, right? And I mean, they don't tell you that when Ahmadi Muslims come around. First of all, their reading of Islam is so. I think Shias and Sunnis are pretty much right on the fact that Ahmadi's reading of Islam is pretty inaccurate. Like you have to really twist everything to be able to get the conclusions that they're getting, right? And the whole peaceful nature of Islam is absolute nonsense. By the way, I'm trying to swear less because YouTube really deranks us every time we swear. I mean, they already rank everything just because of the topic that we covered. They derank us, but I'm trying to. It's hard not to swear, but I mean, yeah, it's. I feel like if they're going to people and saying like, "Oh, look, this is Islam. You misunderstand Islam," and they're not adding at the end of it, by the way, what we're telling you Islam is Ahmadi Islam is by the vast majority of Muslims not considered Islam. If you're not adding that at the end, you're lying to people. You're being dishonest. What do you guys think? Is that dishonest for them to not include that?
Yeah, I do think. I mean, Ahmadi Islam is like the most, like, it's like a minority even in Australia. I mean, there are just a few thousand of them.
Right. Yeah, and also they go. I mean, this is another thing I don't like. They go around and do great charity work, and then they give the credit to Islam, even though they go clean, they go take care of homeless, they go plant trees. I don't know what they do. They do great work, right? And I think they deserve credit for all the great things they do, but they give the credit to Islam. I give the credit to them for being good people, but they give the credit to Islam, which doesn't deserve any credit. There's nothing in Islam that promotes any of this thing. I mean, I guess if they took care of orphans, you could say, well, that's in Islam. But other than that, most of the stuff that they do and all the peaceful nonsense that they're saying is not in Islam. So it's really dangerous and sad when you take the actions of genuinely good people and use it as a PR for a barbaric, backward, violent, anti-human ideology See, I use negative things, none of them swear words, all of them true. Against you use it as a PR again for an ideology that is against most of these values that these people stand for. Like you now you're doing good, but it's being used for destructive idea to promote destructive ideologies. Which I don't know if on nets you're doing more good than harm or more harm than good. Let's see. Anything in the Ali Shapam? Do you want to add anything? And anything in the live chat?
I think I just want to add one thing, that I think that it's good if people know nothing about Islam. That's fine. 70% as what they're quoting, Australia to be 70% ignorant on Islam. What I saw in the photos were people setting up signs that said like make friends with a Muslim, right? Which that's kind of our message too, right? The best way to kind of combat Islam is by making friends with Muslims.
Right.
And I
Wait,
think that
what was their
that's
message?
great if they're truly
what was on their sign?
Make friends with a Muslim or something like
Right,
that.
right.
Something like that. So if they're going around just trying to expose people to Muslims, then I don't actually see a problem with this. I actually think this is great.
Yeah.
They expose people to Muslims. People say, hey, Muslims aren't bad, because Muslims as people, they are not bad. Islam is an ideology. It is bad. So if more people around Australia can see that Muslims are actually pretty cool, let's be friends with Muslims, it's actually a way to kind of combat Islam anyway. So
Well, I mean, I don't know, because people take that to the next level. Because I agree to meet and have conversations is good, right? But people are not very smart, and they take the idea of Muslims being good to Islam being good. You know what I mean? And this is what their message is. Like, hey, look how great we are, which they are, good people. And they're like, this is why Islam is good. And people are, again, I'm not trying to be insulting, but people are not very smart. And they're like, oh yeah, these are Muslims, they're good people, therefore Islam is good. They just make that logic.
that's a good point.
Yeah, so, yeah. But again, I'm not saying they shouldn't be doing what they're doing. More conversations are good. I just my critique of them is not for them not to go out and tell people, not to have conversations with people. My critique of them is like, hey, make sure, like, it would be better if you just mention to people that if you because you're telling people about Islam, and you're then giving them Ahmadi Islam, and you're saying, oh, this is Islam, but that doesn't represent most of Islam. So you have to say that to people if you're being honest with them. I'm just saying be honest about it, right? That's what I'm saying. Roger saying they should join up with... Okay, no, the first comment is saying, I love this. Next step for those young men is to ditch their ancestral superstitious beliefs, I hope. Yeah, I agree with that. Roger saying they should join up with the Jehovah's Witness, spreading adult fairy tales across the land. Knock on every door. There is no misconception. They are weak-minded individuals unable to think for themselves or make scientific discoveries that will benefit the earth. Well, I mean, you don't have to be that mean about it. I'm pretty sure... Well, I mean, they are weak-minded individuals. I don't know if they're weak-minded. Just because somebody is wrong about something, that doesn't mean they're weak-minded. Somebody could be wrong about something and very correct about something else. I mean, I'm pretty sure I'm wrong about something. I mean, many things probably. I just don't know which ones. Stephen is saying, I guess they haven't studied their book in great detail. Good point. Yeah, exactly. I met Ahmadi Muslims in the street, like young kids promoting it, and I asked them about some hadiths and some Quranic verses, and they had no idea that was in there. So, yeah. Anything in the live chat that we need to read?
No.
Yeah, there's Jonathan has left a long comment talking about he visited some of their mosques. But anyways, by the way, guys, if you meet people like this in the street and they're being friendly, even if you disagree with their opinions, please don't be mean to them. You're not helping anybody, okay? If you're mean to them just because you disagree with them, these are genuinely good people, most of them at least. Anyways, let's go. Why is it not letting? Okay, next news.
Next news is out of Malaysia. Indian Muslim preacher Zakir Naik banned from public speaking in Malaysia. So Zakir Naik, Dr. Naik, and we've said this many times before on this news podcast, if you've ever had a conversation with a Muslim on Twitter or Facebook, they have sent you a YouTube video of Dr. Naik telling you to watch it and you will become Muslim. He's a very powerful voice. He's an extremist for Islam. But he's also run into a bit of legal trouble lately. So in India, he is being accused of money laundering and hate speech. And he's been banned from public activities after racial slurs in his recent speeches. He said that in Malaysia that Chinese Buddhists, I think it was, or ethnic Chinese are guests in Malaysia. And he said that minority Hindus, he questioned the loyalty of minority Hindus. So these comments sparked outrage there. And he actually was grilled by the police twice. One session was like a 10-hour long session because they received over 100 complaints about his comments that he made. So now he's been banned from public speaking in Malaysia, and he is now banned in Malaysia, Britain, Canada, and Bangladesh.
Okay, so for the people that may not know, this guy is extremely popular. Like Ali mentioned, I've seen more Muslims telling me to go watch his videos instead of telling me to read the Quran to be convinced. Yeah, so this is weird. And like, imagine, okay, you know how like we had events with Sam Harris and Jordan Peterson in London, and how the thousands of people that showed up, those crowds like are like nothing compared to the crowd that this guy is like a great celebrity. Like the crowd that this guy brings is comparable to some of the American celebrities. You know, the way that people show up, like is insane how many followers and how many fans this guy has. But yeah, and he probably makes shit. Oh, there you go. There goes our prioritization. Shit ton of money. God damn it, YouTube. All right. Guys, so share our videos because this video is gonna get deprioritized because of what I just said. Anyways, so I mean, it would have got anyways. But what do you guys think? Because I think this is, first of all, with regards to a lot of people on our side, anti-Islam, anti-religion, they're like, yay, this guy deserves it. But I'm gonna maybe say something that might be a bit less popular. First of all, with regards to the crimes, the money laundering stuff, it might be tempting to be like, yeah, guilty. But we don't know if he's guilty or not. This might be just an India anti-Islam thing, right? It might be all made up. It might be all true. It might be all made up. We haven't seen the evidence. So it might be like he might not have committed any money laundering crimes, right? Even though, you know. And with regards to his comments, by the way, I saw his apology video. He actually just came out and apologized for his comments, which is great. But at the same time, you know, we're against deplatforming people, right? So Malaysia is not letting him do any public speaking. Canada is not letting him do any public speaking, and we call out people that don't let people on our side do public speaking. Like you know. We call them out and like, oh, free speech, you know, I mean, this is not yeah, it is free speech because it's government, right? They're getting involved. Free speech, let people speak. So I think we need to be consistent here and be like, yeah, we don't like this guy's views, but he should be able to speak. What do you guys think?
I think he's hilarious. And I definitely think we should let him speak. But so here's where I draw the line with that, though, is if you are calling for harm of a group of people, I think that's when you should not. I think that's when it's okay to start banning people. So, and that's kind of been a theme throughout a lot of organizations and times. If anyone has watched the documentary Hail Satan that just came out recently. Jax, the girl who was in this from the beginning, was let go from the Church of Satan, not Church of Satan, Satanic Temple, because she called for the death of Trump, right? You're not supposed to do anybody harm. So you let people go for that, or you ban them from speaking for that. If someone says kill all, this group of people, that's not anything that's productive. It can cause a lot of harm. And a lot of people really follow Dr. Naik. I mean, he is magical to some people. He's almost a prophet status to some people. So if he is calling for harm, if he is saying let's hurt people who don't agree with us, then absolutely he should be banned. And right now that is controversial. Some people are saying he has never done that. Some people are saying he absolutely has done that. So that's where I draw the line with things. I think that he should be able to say whatever stupid crap he wants to say. I don't know about any money laundering in India. I don't know if he's guilty of that or not. I don't think that should even play in as a factor until he is considered guilty. So if people are just banning him because they don't like what he's saying, of course it's terrible.
Yeah, but I actually disagree a bit, and then let's see what Chopin thinks, because I think, I mean, you're saying it's not productive, it's not helpful, but again, even if it's not productive or helpful, it should still be allowed. I think when it comes to violence, the line that we draw, again, this is the legal line, not the moral line. The moral line has been crossed a long time ago. Okay, so when I say this is the legal line, this is where it should be drawn. I'm not suggesting anything that he's saying is okay. But I think when it comes to violence, the legal line we draw is when it's against somebody specifically, right? Not even against a group of people. Because if we did that, almost every religion would be banned. By the way, every Quran and the Bible, all of it would be banned because they are promoting torture of atheists, all of them. But just saying, I think these group of people deserve to be punished, or something happened to them, I think that's really horrific thing to say. That's why the Bible and the Quran are horrible books. But I don't think that's where you draw the legal line. The legal line should be where somebody says, go kill Armin, or something like that. That's my opinion, by the way. Chopin, go on.
I'm so sorry, I have to hop in here. That's not exactly accurate as far as the law is concerned. Where the law differs with terroristic threats in the United States is all I can really speak on that. Is if you say, I would like to see all X group of people die, that's fine. You haven't made any threats. You're not saying you're going to go out and do it or anything of that nature. However, if you come out on a platform or any social media site or anything like that and say, I am going to kill all X group people, or we need to start a rally, we need to band together and start killing all X group people, that is when you've crossed the legal line as far as terroristic threats are concerned.
Has he done that?
What's that?
Has Zakir Naik done that?
Some people are saying he has done that, while others are saying he's not.
So again,
if he has done that, and if that is what he's trying to do, I understand them banning him from speaking. Right. However, if we can't prove that he's done that, and I would love it if someone could send me a video, like if anyone has the video, that's probably been removed since, but that'd be great. So we can see, but if he hasn't, if we can't prove that he's done that, then the guy needs to be able to speak. Yeah,
because again, the fact that people disagree on whether he has said that or not shows to me that this is a gray. He has said something that maybe suggests that he believes in that rather than directly saying that, and I think that's not enough for legal. And again, the laws in different countries are different. In some countries, they have the law on their side to ban him for everything. So we're not saying I'm not suggesting what the law is. I'm saying what I think the law should be. This guy is allowed to speak in the United States as we speak, right? Because the United States has pretty good free speech laws, but he's not allowed to speak in Canada or Malaysia or India. And I think more countries need to follow United States model. Chopin, what do you think?
Okay, so first, he's wanted for his hate speech, the money laundering, and also incitement of terrorism in India. That's what you missed, incitement of terrorism. Also, in case of money laundering, like Naik is saying that all his money is legal, so I think he should be able to prove it. I mean, he should have documents. I mean, it's millions of
It's
money.
India though. I mean, I don't trust India whether or not they, when it comes to
Yeah.
mix.
Also, then again, I mean, he was accused when India was not as anti-Muslim as it is right now.
Hmm.
I mean, it had a pretty liberal government more than right now,
But
and they accused him
yeah, but I'm not saying
of
he
this
didn't do
stuff.
it. I'm just saying
Yeah,
we
we don't
when
have
we don't have
proof.
it. So
Yeah,
it's three things: money laundering, we don't know; hate speech, that shouldn't even be legal, anyways.
yeah,
The only thing that is left for us to judge is the terrorist, claims, which seems to be a gray area rather than you know.
yeah. I think he said that Muslims should be terrorists if they want to follow Quran. I think he said that once.
Mm, okay, I have to see that. By the way,
Yeah,
we're pretty like look at this. We are pretty, I think, fair as an atheist group talking about Islamic leaders, right? Like people say like, "Oh, you're so anti-Muslim, anti-Muslim," but we're not like very clear on whether or not we're against him being not even not we're not even saying he shouldn't be arrested. We're even saying that maybe he should be allowed to speak, right? He shouldn't be deplatformed. Like we've been consistent with our values, and people think like we're just like raging anti-Muslim bigots, but but again, just note if you're a Muslim and watching this, please note that we're trying to be as fair as possible. Um,
also, I mean, I wanted to say another thing. Like, what he said, Zakir Naik said, is that ethnic Chinese people and Indian people should be sent back to their countries, should be deported to their countries.
mm.
And he is an Indian, so does he think that he should be deported to India?
Yeah, no, I mean his comments were pretty bad. I mean, it's good for people to see that this whole send them back home thing is not just a European or American thing, right? You have an Indian immigrant in Malaysia telling people to send back their immigrants home. I mean, the comments were pretty bad, especially because Malaysia really relies on these, and they don't. The government that doesn't like to tolerate any of these things. So we're not making excuses for the comments. Malaysia is pretty diverse, but we are, but we're, no matter how bad the comments are, they should be allowed. It's free speech. Let me see the top comment. Finally, so the top comment is finally some wonderful news. Oh dear, how sad. This one is sarcastic with a smiley face. Well done, Malaysia. Brother makes a good point. That's a reference to how Zakir Naik speaks. So it seems like most people are in favor of Malaysia, which is what I expected from our top comments. Again, guys, don't try not to be tribal when it comes to deciding whether if this guy was a anti-Islam speaker and he was deplatformed, it seems like guys would be like, oh, he said some racist stuff. That's not cool. But again, that's not okay. But he should not be deplatformed. Try to not be so tribal regarding how you analyze the news. Anyways, we took enough time on this.
Okay. So I mean,
What?
I just wanted to mention this. Apparently, Zakir Naik did say that if a Muslim is terrorizing America,
Hmm.
then he is in favor of that Muslim because that Muslim is terrorizing the biggest terrorist state of them all.
Okay, but that's not again a direct threat.
Yeah.
That's not a direct threat. Is that a threat? I mean, that's a really really bad thing to say. I agree with that, but that shouldn't be legal to say. Even though bad speech is not just because something is bad doesn't mean it should be illegal. Do you know what I mean? Do you guys agree? Anyways, let's go.
Well,
Yeah. Anyways, next news.
Next news is out of the USA. Pastor says, I asked God if Trump was racist, and God said no, so it's settled.
Okay,
This news comes
no, it's
from-
over. Let's go next.
we're done
We're
here,
done.
guys. Let's
Okay,
stop.
go on.
This happened on the Jim Baker show. And I know Armin and I have discussed Jim Baker, but I really feel like every time we bring him up, I've got to give you background on this guy. This is a guy that went to prison for a very long time. Jim Baker did, for money laundering and other issues that he had. He's always been a huge TV televangelist. Him and his wife Tammy Faye Baker, they built just so many different things to scam people out of money. And now this guy has his own show again, now that he's out of prison, and he sells survival packs for the apocalypse. So yeah, he has his own show, and people come on it all the time, such as this guy, Pastor Francis Miles, who also believes that you can supernaturally change your DNA. And he explained that Trump wasn't racist because he asked God. And I'm going to go ahead and quote him. He said, "I asked God about that. And I said, God, and it's good to know God where you can talk to him because he really wants to talk to us about day-to-day issues." And I said to him, I said, Lord, is Trump a racist? And God said to me, it was the fastest no God has ever given me. He says, no, he's not. So that settles everything. Here we have Pastor Francis Miles saying that we all should talk to God about day-to-day issues. And if we ask him questions, he answers us. And so Trump is
all of us. Wait,
all of us.
This guy is claiming prophethood. Is that not anti-Christian though?
Oh, no, it'd be anti-Catholic.
Oh.
But no, Christians absolutely believe that, or Protestants, I guess you should say, absolutely believe that everyone has a direct line to Christ.
And he speaks back, just talking, just like you could just be like, "Hey God, where's my keys?" And you're like, "Oh, have you looked under the table?" And you, just like that, you could go.
So back when I was a Christian and I used to pray to God, and I truly did believe that I felt God in my heart, when really all it was that I was feeling was my own compassion for myself when I was in a really bad state. But I used to feel God in my heart, and I used to truly believe that the feelings that I got when speaking to God was God speaking back to me, even though it was my own intuition and my own wants that I was just giving the voice of God. So you'll meet a lot of Christians who absolutely will tell you that the voices in their head, yourself, your subconscious talking to your mind, when you speak to God, they will tell you that the way that you speak back to yourself is actually God giving you those thoughts and ideas. And it's crazy. Sorry.
Yeah. Crazy. And this is the picture that we're looking at. Is that the pastor that said that?
Yes.
So he's black. So he's basically, it's kind of like, I have the, you know how you say, like, I have a black friend and therefore I'm not racist. This is kind of like a Christian version of that, I think. But let me see what the top comments are. Oh, and God also said that you will need to send me your donation so I can. Yeah. I mean, they say that. They actually do say that. They say God told us that you need to send us money. They say that on their show all the time, right?
Yeah.
But what do you guys think? Is Trump racist?
Heyman said something really funny here. I mean, he said that when the pastor asked, "Is Trump racist?" God is more likely to say, "No shit," right, rather than just no.
What do you think, Ellie? Is Trump racist?
I think it's hard to say because we don't know him. Do I think that he represents racist ideals? Absolutely. He's trying to erase Mexicans from America, which, as a Texan, really pisses me off because we share a lot of cultural everything. So it's hard for me. I can't stand it. But is he doing this as a political stunt move? Because he knows that there are a lot of racists? I don't know. So, I mean, I think that he definitely represents racist ideals, but I don't know if he's a racist.
Yeah, I think you can. Yeah, you can never really tell. But but if I had to guess, I think like he just knows that he appeals, whether he's racist or not. I do think that he knows that he appeals to a lot of racists. I don't think.
Absolutely.
I don't think he actually has any core beliefs, right? I think his only core belief is to be more famous, and if that means taking advantage of racists you go with that. If that means taking advantage of other people, you go. He's like a sponge, right? Like he just takes whatever ideas that people around him have, as long
Yes.
as it gets him to the, gets him more attention, right? He just wants more attention, if that's whatever means necessary, whether it be racism or. So I think he must know that. I don't think he genuinely has any core beliefs that he feels passionately about. But he must know that a lot of people that are racist follow him and love him. And he just tries to make sure that he doesn't say something that turns a lot of them off, right? Or at least he says some things that is like wink, wink, nod, nod to them because he enjoys their support, right? That's what I think, which could be completely wrong because, again, you can never know 100% unless. But, again, that's what I think.
I think that Trump is too stupid to know that he's racist or not.
I don't know. I mean, he's a good marketer, right? He's really good at marketing stuff. He sells stuff really good, and he sells himself very good. That's his only skill, and apparently that's all you need to become president. Stephanie saying, yet when I asked God, he said yes. Oh, we have another prophet in our comment section. Vicky saying, pastor is unaware of history or has a very short memory. No, again, because he's black, a lot of the followers are gonna watch this and go like, this guy, the black pastor told me that Trump is racist. That's all I need to know, right? I'm serious. This is what people are gonna think, right? Like it wasn't a white pastor that told me that Trump is not racist. It was the black pastor that told me Trump is not racist. There you go. That's even more credible than God himself. Steve is saying, good example for how religion works. Okay, let me see anybody in the comment section. Yeah. All right. Let's go. Hold on. Next news is loading. Okay, next news.
Next news is out of Eastbourne, England. A vegetarian student is disqualified from GCSE paper for obscene racial comments after she criticized halal meat. So this 16-year-old who was taking her General Certificate of Secondary Education, which is a set of exams taken in England, was disqualified after in a religious studies exam in June, she wrote that she found the idea of halal meat absolutely disgusting. So the exam board actually disqualified this 16-year-old from the exam, accusing her of making obscene racial comments. And seriously, all she said was that halal meat was absolutely disgusting.
Which it is.
The decision was overturned only when her school, which is the Gildridge House of Eastbourne, appealed the decision, insisting that Miss Ward had been expressing her distaste for halal butchers and was not making any comments about Muslims. The exam board did uphold the appeal, thankfully, and apologized for upsetting and stressing her out.
Good thing they apologized, but
Yeah.
I think they wouldn't have apologized. So I mean, good thing they backed down. I mean, this is insane. Like if she came out and said, like, you know what, I think animals. I mean, okay, so she's a vegetarian, right? I think I agree with people that think halal meat and and also kosher as a horrible way of killing animals. We have now better ways of killing animals, right? Again, I know a lot of vegetarians and vegans don't see the difference between killing and killing without suffering, and this is one thing I don't like about many vegans and vegetarians, because they don't see any benefit from killing animals in a way that they're not suffering. Like can you not at least support that? If we're killing them in a way that the one that how is it done when you kill animals with these days? And they put like a stun gun right below your right at your spine, right below the brain.
It's a bolt gun. Yeah.
Gun? Okay,
so basically, the bolt gun typically in the first shot will knock an animal out,
right.
and
I've seen
they can either then slit their throats or whatever, let their blood drain out of them while they're unconscious, or it'll kill them instantly, depending on what they're using.
Right. But the way we do the halal meat or the kosher meat is that when you cut the throat and they're alive while the blood is splitting out and they experience the pain, that's a lot of suffering, and that should be criminal. That should not only be banned, it should be criminal. You're torturing animals. Every time you see halal meat, just read it as tortured meat. Okay? Tortured meat. Now we have the technology to kill animals in much more humane ways. And now, but still, because of religion, we're holding on to. So she's absolutely right. The student was absolutely right. But if you said like, "Hey, it's disgusting the way slitting animals' throats is disgusting," she wouldn't have gotten banned. But now that she says halal meat is disgusting, she would get, what happened to her? She got banned or whatever.
She was banned from taking the exam.
Yeah. So this is
her secondary study.
This is the bigotry of lower expectations, right? This is religious privilege that that Islam is enjoying in United Kingdom. This is absolutely insane, that they do this. I mean, the fact, but again, when the school went and defended her, look at what the defense was. It wasn't that, look, this is a horrific practice. She's not saying anything about Muslims in general. She's saying about the practice is a horrific it's a disgusting practice. To make an excuse for her, they said she was just saying that about the butchers. But if they had changed the language and say she's saying about it as an Islamic practice, they would have kept the disqualification, right? They really had
seems that way.
Yeah, which is I mean, what the hell, UK? What the hell? I wanted to say something else, but again, I'm trying not to swear, because YouTube doesn't like it. But again, what the effing f? Chopin, what do you think?
As a meat eater, well, I'm totally disgusted by halal meat.
Yeah.
It's just like you said, it's tortured meat. And I actually a few days ago I got in a debate with a Muslim classmate about halal meat, and they were like, "Oh, our cleric said like it's healthier meat. The blood all gushes out and everything." I was like, "Dude, you torture the animal while it's dying. Why would you do that?" And they're like, "It's just our practice and it tastes much better." And I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you torture animals. Yeah. Ali used to be a vegan. What do you think about this?
About halal meat or just animals being tortured in general?
Well, I mean, I know it. I mean, no, about whether it's whether vegans are. I mean, whether it's okay to promote humane killing, because a lot of vegans say like, no, fuck human. Oh, I said, damn it.
No,
I swore.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
No, then that's actually where we should be starting. As vegans who want to try to reach people, need to find common ground. And that would be the best place to find common ground, because meat eaters don't like the idea of animals being tortured. They're not monsters because they eat meat. Vegans don't like the idea of animals being tortured. So if we could all get together and say, hey guys, let's look at the practices we use in our slaughterhouses. Let's look at the conditions we keep animals in before harvest, if you will. Can we try to improve that? And then, they'll say, oh, but that's going to rise the price of meat if we start doing that, if we start giving them better living conditions and blah, blah, blah. And then some people are saying, we'll be able to buy meat as often. And hey, guess what? If we started improving animals' lives a little bit more in our slaughterhouses, I think that will lead to people eating a little less meat each week. And I think that it's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. This is the one thing that vegans and vegetarians and meat eaters could unite on. Stop torturing animals before you kill them. But a lot of vegans and vegetarians do not want to unite on this with the meat eaters, because they're like, no killing or nothing else, which is a shame, because a lot of animals are being tortured because they can't unite on this thing that should be an easy thing to unite, And we could have, if they weren't this strict about who they work with, a lot more animals would be not being tortured today. So good job, vegans and vegetarians. You're helping more animals keep being tortured. The top comment is saying, so freedom of speech stops when it comes to the beloved religious themes and customs. What a shame. Okay, let's go to this. Okay. Oh, Camulos is saying, I would pay more for meat if it is treated more humanely. Yeah, me too, actually.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Next news.
All right. Next news is out of Illinois in the USA. A youth pastor at anti-gay church accused of sexual exploiting several teen boys. This article was written by David McGaffey. If you guys don't know him, we actually publish a few of his books that are written for preteens that are really awesome. You guys should check them out. Just Google David McGaffey and you'll see links to his books. He's really cool. So about this news, this guy, this youth pastor from this Illinois church, which is the Harvest Bible Chapel, is a mega church in Illinois that is just riddled with scandal. So James McDonald was the head preacher of that church at a time that hired a hitman to murder his son-in-law. And he also was a member of Donald Trump's Evangelical Advisory Board, alongside of a hate group leader, Tony Perkins. But McDonald's was also accused of financial mismanagement and abuse that finally did him over. So this guy, Paxton Singer, who served at the church as well, is a anti-gay youth preacher who has been charged now with sexual exploitation of a child by asking a boy at least 13 years old but younger than 17 via text messages to send him pictures of himself shirtless, to spend a weekend with Singer, and about the boy's sexual habits for Singer's sexual arousal and gratification. There were actually a few boys that came forward accusing Singer of sexually exploiting them. But the judge said that one of the boys was 17 years old at the time and he was legally an adult. So he wasn't allowed to testify against him at this time. But he did allow for 2 other people to step forward and testify.
Yeah, I haven't scrolled up to the comment section yet, but I'm hoping that most people are not seeing this as a win. I hate it when atheists see children being molested or sexually abused, to be like, oh yes, this shows how evil religion is. Like, what the hell? Like, this is, if you see stories like this and you see it mostly as a win against religion, as an embarrassment to religion rather than a tragic event, then you need to reconsider your priorities. Another thing I think we should be careful about is not to overgeneralize and think like, yeah, a lot of people look at the story and be like, oh, of course, the pastor, Yeah, but not all pastors are like this. Most pastors are probably not like this. But, and we know that among pastors, this is more common compared to the general population, but not because of these stories, but because we have numbers and statistics, right? So don't judge that based on stories like this, because again, stories and news, they follow, it's based on what people click on. And if somebody is anti-gay and all of a sudden they go out and do something horrific as this, people like that because they think like, oh, look at the hypocrite, now you're gonna get punished. And they like it when somebody that was against something as harmless as being gay has done something as horrific as going after children, and they see it as poetic justice. And that's why these things get more clicks. But this doesn't really represent, because it gets more clicks, you have to think this doesn't really represent what the data is actually like, because it's just based on people's interest. So the only reason why we know pastors are more likely, again, not all of them, not most of them, but more likely than average population, you have to come to that conclusion not based on stories like this, but based on following statistics. What do you think? What do you guys think?
What I want to do is I want to point out a few comments that are in our live chat right now, because Dirty Dancer brings up a point that I always bring up every time we discuss gay, anti-gay, and pedophilia together. Pedophilia should not be equated with homosexuality. Bingo, 100% agree. Because here's what several people know or think about pedophilia, and it's kind of confusing. A lot of people think that if you are a pedophile and you go after young boys, then you are gay. And a lot of people will disagree with that and say pedophilia is more of a sexual addiction to power over somebody younger. So it's not necessarily gender based for their sexual desire in pedophilia. And so this guy, while he is anti-gay, because he's going after young boys, pedophilia, the aspect of that, doesn't necessarily make him gay. Now, he did go after an adult youth, but still considered an adult, and people can call that gay. I don't know. I don't know where the cutoff line there is. I don't know where the draw of that line is, but I do agree with Dirty Dancer that pedophilia should never be equated to homosexuality. It's a huge pet peeve, and it's just terrible and it's nasty. So a lot of other people are saying pedophilia is not just limited to Catholicism. Of course it's not. And I think that is something that Armin was touching on, that this happens everywhere. I believe personally that the church system, whether it be Catholicism, Islam, any sort of Protestant religion, I think that churches in general breed a land of trust where parents say, okay, I can take my child here. I can trust the people who are here. These are godly people. Godly people equal good people. And they let their guards down when it comes to their children. And I think that predators in general flock to these areas because they understand the breeding ground of trust in that environment. So I absolutely, it's not just limited to Catholicism. You're going to see more of this anywhere. People lay down their guard when it comes to their children and say, I trust you.
Right. And just to be fair to the article, I think it's not equating being gay with pedophilia. In fact,
correct. He's not doing.
Yeah, and in fact, they're putting them side by side to show the hypocrisy, because they're saying, like, look, somebody that is against something harmless has done something very harmful. So in fact, the fact that they're extremely different is being pointed out here, right?
Yes.
But another thing, I think another thing we shouldn't be equating is pedophilia with child molestation, okay? Because a lot of people keep using these interchangeably, but there are a lot of pedophiles that know they are sick, know they have a disease, and are seeking help and not taking. This guy is worse than a pedophile. This guy actually is a child molester, like somebody that took action, somebody that committed a crime. Okay, so again, if you want to point at something horrific, something that somebody has done, call it child molestation. Don't call it pedophilia, because just because somebody has been cursed with the sickness of pedophilia, that doesn't mean they actually are child molesters. Okay, just to be clear, do not demonize people that realize that they're sick and are seeking help to fix it, if they haven't actually committed a crime. That's another thing we shouldn't equate. But Shopam, did you want to add something to this?
Yeah, we were talking about this last week. Like, I think, whereas similar to what Ali said, that it's not like pastors turn out to be pedophiles or child molesters. It's more likely that pedophiles and child molesters are join the church because they get easy access to children.
Right.
I think that's highly likely. And also, like, the thing you said about pedophilia, like, the people, some people know that they're sick and it's not good, but there's also this certain group of people, like, they call themselves no maps, I think, and they're like, they say, okay, I'm pedophile and I'm proud, like, they say this shit, and that's Like
Yeah.
that makes me like really crazy, angry about that.
Yeah. Okay. That's weird. I think if somebody said, "Okay, I'm a pedophile. I'm sick. Please help me. I don't want to harm anybody. I don't want to harm any children." That would have been a more like if you're born with something that you had no control over, you shouldn't be ashamed of it. But obviously, you shouldn't be proud of such a horrific sickness either. But you should seek help. Um, yeah. Anyways, should we go to the next news? It's loading. It's loading. Okay, next news.
Next news is out of Mississippi, USA. A lesbian gets a nasty letter from the MS pastor kicking her out of his Baptist church. Oh, a terrible, terrible thing here. So this girl, Mary Catherine Trillinger, met her partner Olivia Jennings at their conservative Baptist church, and they got together. And their same-sex relationship obviously was not permitted within the church, so they were asked to leave the church in general, which is exactly what they did. They left. It cost them their church community. Trollinger's mom actually kicked her out of the house as well and didn't want anything to do with her for coming out as a lesbian. And so she suffered some deep depression for a few months. The couple eventually found a more accepting church community of their own. They moved on, right? They weren't going to make this public. They weren't going to make a big deal out of this. They were just going to move on, which is what typically a lot of us do. But this week, Trillinger received a formal letter in the mail saying that her membership of the church had officially been revoked. So it was like all she wanted to do was walk away and forget the embarrassment of what she went through. But they wanted to have the absolute last word and just stick it to her one more time. And it's a super long letter. And I'm not going to sit here and bore everyone with the entire thing. So I'm just going to read parts of it. The letter says, "Dear Mary, it's been about a year now since you left your church family to live an unbiblical lifestyle with Olivia Jennings. For a professing Christian to live openly and unremorsefully in sin is degrading in the name of Christ. After numerous attempts by family and church members and friends to convince you of your error, you have remained resistant. In fact, you have entered into a marriage contract with Olivia on Father's Day, no less. Upon your request and evidence of repentance and reformation, however, you may be restored to full fellowship at Gracewood by the vote of the body. In Christ, Barry Baker." So, yeah, I mean, just how freaking sick do you have to be to not only kick members of your family, right, church family, out after knowing, since they knew so much, since they followed this couple around, getting all these details about when they got married and everything else. They had to have known that even her mother disowned her over this relationship she got into. And they still just have to stick it to her one more time.
I think like the church is really pissed off that these people moved on and had a happy life. They just really wanted to like, oh my god. Seriously, I hope they get famous for this. I don't know. This is so annoying. It's kind of like that ex that you broke up with, and you're the one that broke up with, and now she's messaging you after 2 months that, by the way, I'm breaking up with you. Like, no, wait, what? I broke up with you.
Yeah. I was in a relationship very similar to that, where she wrote me back, giving me examples of what I can do, how I can change to win her back. When it was like, I broke up with you. I don't need to change anything about myself. Leave me alone. And that's exactly what this is. So these girls, they moved on. They found a new family. They found a new place where they belonged and they were happy. And these people are like, hey, you know what? If you give up your happiness, we might take you back. Vote on it.
They should just write like one line. They should like, go F yourself and just like return it. Like, we're happy now. Let me see what Shopam, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, like I'm happy for these women. I mean, they don't care. They even posted on Facebook like, okay, whatever, we are in a better place now, so go and F yourself up. Yeah, the church acted hilariously.
Don is saying Christians are Christians, so loving, so giving, so forgiving, spreading God's love and message of peace across the land with the puke emoji. So wait, you said they founded their own church, these women?
They didn't
They
found their own
joined.
church.
They
Oh,
joined
They
a different church.
Oh,
they found a different church that was accepting of them being openly gay.
right. By the way, I went to in London. I was just recently in London. Right now, I'm in Germany, in Munich. I went into a gay friend, LGBT friendly mosque, all inclusive mosque, and I was almost kicked out. And then I went to a more fundamentalist Islamic area, and they were more welcoming to me than the all-inclusive mosque. It was weird. By the way, the all-inclusive mosque in London, they had a female imam, and before they started preaching, they asked everybody to make sure that before talking to anybody that you ask their pronouns. And at some point, people clapped, and the imam came and said, "Please don't clap. Use jazz hands." This was a mosque. Okay, this was an Islamic Eid celebration. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen.
There's one similar to that, Armin, in Germany, actually, that I think I'll find it for you, and you should try to go if you can.
All right. Let's go to the next news.
The next news is out of Portland, Oregon, USA. An atheist stripper and a progressive pastor team up to help victims of ICE raids. This is actually a really cool story. So this atheist stripper who strips at a vegan strip club, by the way, they decided to get together, and they're doing their own campaign. They have a video out right now where all proceeds from people donating to them or buying their products. Let's see, what was her name? I don't know. Sorry, it doesn't really matter right now. But she's designing shirts that you can purchase, and all the proceeds from the shirts and all of the different things that they're selling are going to go to help ICE victims in Mississippi.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think about this? I have some.
Lauren
This
Seeley,
is- this is-
that's her name.
this is
Sorry,
cool.
I didn't want to just call her the vegan atheist stripper. Lauren Seeley is her name. And I think it's amazing. I do. I think it's pretty cool. I think that before anyone says this is hypocritical or anything like that, you need to know Portland, Oregon. So from anyone who's not familiar with how Portland is, they're a very, very progressive city. And I highly doubt that Reverend Adam Erickson has ever had a bad thought about strippers or anything else in his life, even though he's religious, just because that is the kind of environment that they have there. It's very inclusive. I don't actually find this to be hypocritical or anything else, as I've heard people say things like this are. To me, I think this is positive. I think this is a way that they can say, hey, you know what, we're different, but we both care about people.
Okay, Chopin, what do you think? I have some common sense.
Well, I think this is the coolest news today we have today. And also, the stripper says like, yeah, it's a bit crazy to do this, but where they live, Portland is crazy. So now I want to visit Portland.
So Red Baron in the YouTube live chat is saying, so they're helping ICE victims, it says in the title, right? But Red Baron is saying, you mean illegal aliens. What do you say to Red Baron?
Illegally,
think
that's
ICE are
Guys,
actually-
one at a time.
Okay.
Okay,
Ali first.
Ali, go on.
Okay, I don't think that all people in ICE camps are illegal aliens at all. A lot of people are coming over here to search for asylum, which is their right to do so, and we're breaking our own law by putting them in a detention center after they've come here to seek asylum. So, yeah.
Chopin?
Okay, so it's basically the same thing. I mean, everyone coming here are not illegal aliens. I mean, some people have to run away from their homes for things. I mean, they seek asylum in a better country and they're being deported. They're not all illegal. I think that's a very rude thing to say and not exactly correct.
Well, I mean, most
either.
of them are not technically refugees, though. Most of them, a lot of them might be, but most of them are not going to die if they go, or they're going to become political prisoners if they go back to where their original, their countries. So for you to be a refugee, you need to actually have to be, and also even if you can claim refugee status, if you cross the border before applying, if you there are ways to do it. So, I mean, technically, a lot of them are illegal immigrants. Technically, I mean that's a legal thing, not a moral thing.
So
So
here's how
that's
it works in America, and I actually wrote an article about how to get asylum in
okay.
America years ago,
Yeah.
before these new changes somehow took effect. Is once you enter the country,
Mm,
anywhere you find an officer, you're allowed to go up to them and say, "I am here seeking asylum,"
right.
and they're supposed to give you an application for asylum right away.
Right.
And that's how it's supposed to work in America. But what's happening is they're now saying, "Oh, but you need to apply. You need to apply for asylum."
Shilpa, mute your mic. Okay, go on, Ali.
I'm already muted.
Okay, okay. So there's something hitting the mic. Okay, go on, Ali.
Is they're saying, "Oh, well, you need to apply at checkpoints," and so when people are going to checkpoints, they're still getting put into the detention centers,
Right.
which is not the way it's supposed to happen. So, yeah, this is a huge issue. Yeah, human activist groups in America are in legal
Mm.
battles right now for people who are coming over here and thinking that they can change, for the Trump administration thinking he can just change things because he doesn't want Mexicans here.
So, but well, they're not Mexicans mostly. They're mostly from other countries from Central America, right? So they're going through Mexico, but they're not Mexican. In fact, Mexicans don't want them in their country. Mexicans accept less of, even right now. United States is accepting more of them in United States than Mexico is. Um, Mexico. Now that Trump is pressuring Mexico for a lot of these people to stay in Mexico, Mexicans are pressuring their government to kick these people out of Mexico, right? So just the one thing. Another thing is that a lot of these people, again, even if you go in the article that you wrote, Ali, you mentioned made it very clear that these, for you to claim refugee status, you have to actually be in danger, like
That is correct.
life threatening, right? So I'm not saying all of these people are not in life threatening situation, but their countries, it's not like if they go back, somebody's waiting for them to get killed or something like that, to kill them, right? It's not like, or even become political prisoners. That's not the situation, right? But again, I can say that and still be sympathetic to these people, because just because it's not a legally you're not a refugee, that doesn't mean that if I wasn't in their situation, I wouldn't do the same thing. If I see my children, if I see my wife, and I think like their life is horrible, I would break every law that I could. I mean, to bring them a better life, you know, man. You'd be like, oh, follow the law, follow the law. My kid is hungry. Okay, I don't what if I could find a way to break, go through a loophole and figure out what to do to make their lives better, I will do it. But whatever your position is, and again, the other country, they're thinking like, well, yeah, I mean, I feel bad for you, but again, we have laws on borders here. But Ali is right. Like when it comes to the way that people are being treated, that could be made a lot better, even if you think the law should be upheld. But what's interesting to me to stories like this is that this seems that it should be something that all sides could agree on. But again, it becomes, people are so tribal that they don't. Because whether you think that these people should be let in or shouldn't be let in, I think both sides should agree that they should be treated humanely. I mean, I think this is something, I mean, this shouldn't be a partisan issue, right? And whether you see, and somebody could be a victim and an illegal immigrant at the same time, because again, just because you're an illegal immigrant, that doesn't mean you're not a victim. Okay, and whether you think they should be sent back or not sent back, if they're hungry children with them, you might think they should be fed. You might think they shouldn't be sleeping on the floor. You might think if they're sick, maybe somebody should. Again, this is not even you can't even be like, oh yeah, but taxpayer, because this is government money being wasted. These are volunteers. These are people using their own private money, right? You should think like, if you want to go help people that are in need, it doesn't matter if they should be sent back or not. That's a good thing that I support. This seems like people, whether you think, oh, these people shouldn't be allowed in or not, this, treat them nicely should be something that both sides agree on. Another thing is, whether both sides seem to should be agreeing on, and they're not, is that whether you think this guy is being a true Christian or not a true Christian, whether you think he's being hypocritical or not to be working with an atheist stripper or not, you should think like, this is good. We disagree. We could voice our disagreements, but we could work together on things that we agree on. You don't have to agree with every position that somebody has. I'm an anti-Islam critic. I'm an anti-Christian critic. I can work with imams if I have to, right? If an imam, for example, comes and says that I stand for secularism and I want to promote secularism and this is how I'm going to do it, I'm going to go work with that imam. I'm not going to agree with him when he says that this is Islamic. And if he wants to give credit to Islam for his work on secularism, I'm going to call him out on that and be like, no, this is against Islam, and I could call him out on that. But while he's working on secularism, doing something that promotes secularism, I can still work with him on that because I believe in secularism and he believes in secularism. Our disagreement on Islam is something else. I'm not going to hide it. I'm going to point it out. But that's separate from the fact that we're both working on secularism. So again, this is something that this Christian pastor and this atheist stripper can agree on, that they can do, and it's great that they can have differences and work with each other on something else at the same time. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I agree with you on that, especially that it doesn't matter if you disagree with somebody's views, as long as you find something you agree on. It's not hypocritical to continue to work with them on it. And I also just wanted to say really quick that I'm learning a lot of stuff from the chat right now, and I wanted to thank Bobby B, Red Baron, and Chris for pointing some things out that I didn't know. So thank you guys for that.
Any of them you want to mention? Any of the things they mentioned? But yeah. Anyways,
I'll have to go back through it.
Okay. Yeah. Let me actually read what the top comment is. Paul is saying that Pastor has some nice tattoos. Does he? Oh no, I think she's talking about a stripper. Anyways, let's go. Should we go to Shopam? You wanted to add anything, or should we go to the next news?
Yeah, I'm good.
You're good.
Next news.
Okay, hold on. Let's let it
Okay.
load. Let it load. Okay, next news.
Next news is out of Arkansas, USA. A Duggar daughter appears to have photoshopped skirts on girls in a photo. So for people who don't know who the Duggars are, there was a popular show about them, I think 19 and counting. They are I think they're a Mormon family. They have like 19 plus kids. I stopped counting after like their teens. They have 1,000 kids. The mom's always pregnant, and there was a huge controversy about them because they're not Mormon. They're in some weird quiver church. Sorry, it's not on here, and I did the research on this. But yeah, so they have this really crazy religion. One of their sons actually molested a few of their daughters, and they knew about it, and they hid it because they're terrible people. And anyway, so some of the daughters have grown up, started their own show. They're famous and whatnot. So this daughter of the Duggars posts an image on Instagram where I guess two girls behind her were wearing something that she felt wasn't conservative enough. So she's clearly photoshopped skirts on them. And it's caused a big controversy. People are saying, look, like if you can't even take a photo of people and post it on here. If you have to go through links to Photoshop people because you don't like how they are, then just don't post the photo. It's hypocritical of you to say that you want your beliefs and everything to be respected, but then you don't have the courtesy to respect other people as they are, which I don't know if that's hypocritical or not, but that's what people are saying. So what do you think?
Put a hijab on them as well. You just Photoshop it.
While you're at it,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah, I would be interested actually to know if how many people would call this out as not, so this is modesty culture, right? But like, I think a lot of people, again, not hashtag, not all people on the left, would call this as like, shaming and modesty culture, but at the same time support the hijab, which is 10 times worse than this, right? But I know, I lived in Iran for a big chunk of my life, and a lot of products, foreign products, when they have women on them, they edit all of this out. They take a black marker and they cover their legs, cover their hair, cover their hands. So this reminds me of that.
Right.
What do you think, Shubha?
I think
Yeah,
that it's
so
giving this relevance, actually. But
What?
sorry, Shubham.
oh yeah, I wanted to mention what Beach was saying in the live chat. Like she said that, but the skirts are still above the knee, so that's very shameful.
Yeah.
Also, I mean, that's pretty bad Photoshop, and I want to know why didn't she think of just cropping the picture? I mean, she could have just cropped the picture so the girls wouldn't even be in the picture. Why did she think of Photoshop when she's so bad at it?
Yeah, she could have just cropped it right from here. Because I guess she just liked, I don't know. Yes, that's a good question. Ali, you said something. What did you say?
I just don't understand why we're giving this person relevance. In all honesty, Beige corrected me here in the chat. Their movement, their full name of their movement is the Quiverful Movement, and the people from the Quiverful Movement can be awful. I'm not going to say all people, obviously, but these are the people who, at least in southern states, have known to sell their daughters. A lot of their beliefs are horrifying. If we think that Islam suppresses women, the Quiverful movement makes women completely irrelevant, other than to have babies. It's not in which, I mean, obviously that's why the Duggars are famous, right? Because the mom can just push out a few more than the rest of us. But I don't understand why we're still giving this family relevance as far as look at her Instagram. Let's talk about, if we're going to be keeping the Duggars relevant, let's talk about their belief system. Let's talk about the fact that they hid their son molesting their daughters. Let's talk about what leads to people to do these things. I mean, I don't know.
Well,
I
Ali,
hate that we're talking about a Duggar and
Well,
this
the
is
reason-
about skirts on Instagram.
Well, the reason why we bringing this up, I mean, I didn't bring it, Anna picks the news, but the reason why I think it's important that we bring this up is to highlight modesty culture, right? And how it's a big thing among religious communities, and especially with this family, given that the things that you mentioned, right, shows how when it comes to good relationships and sexual maturity, they are one of the lowest of the low. So modesty culture, which is supposed to protect us from bad behavior, doesn't seem to work. So I think it's such a good illustration that from a family that thinks short skirts is taboo, and they go as far as covering it with Photoshop, is basically the same family that the brother molested all the sisters, right? So I think putting that next to each other highlights two things at the same time: that modesty culture is big and common, and also that the fact that it doesn't work. That's why I think it's important to highlight stories like this. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, completely.
Okay. Actually, one of the comments mentioned this. Jason is saying, "What the F is a Duggar?" Oh wait, isn't this the family where the older brother diddled all of it? Well, that's a weird word. All of his female siblings and the rest of the family were cool with it. Were the rest of the family actually cool with it? I didn't know the details of the story.
I mean, I'm sorry, but if you're not going to go to the police, and it's hard to say. I understand any parent can sit here and say one thing, but if it's happened to them, maybe they'd do something else. But I feel very strongly about this and always have. If you're a parent, you know your child has committed a serious crime, especially against one of your other children who you are supposed to be protecting.
Right.
You absolutely should go to the police with it.
Yeah.
And so they helped in the cover up of it for their son.
Okay.
So what kind of justice was that for their daughters?
Yeah.
So you can sit here and say they were cool with it. Maybe they weren't. I don't know. But their actions weren't that of a parent who's trying to protect their other children as well.
Right. Maybe they thought they could control it and fix it, but they're going to the police, so they were protecting the son as well. No? What if
Maybe.
Yeah. Now, I'm not excusing it. I'm just trying to look at it from a different angle.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's go to the last news.
Last bit of news is out of the USA. Pastor says Bernie Sanders is completely illiterate about the Bible in Israel. Fox News' Todd Starnes, which anything that starts with Fox News is, is going to be hilarious. And Pastor Robert Jeffries had a conversation all about how Trump doesn't really have a Messiah complex, even though he called himself the chosen one, and how Democrats hate Israel and Jewish people who vote for Democrats are somehow disloyal. They brought up Senator Bernie Sanders. He said this in an Iowa crowd in response to Trump's statements, and this is end quote, "I am a proud Jewish person. I have no concerns about voting Democratic, and in fact, I intend to vote for a Jewish man to become the next president of the United States." Jeffries insisted Sanders just doesn't understand Judaism as well as he does. So what happened during our last election, the 2016 election, was the DNC tried to orchestrate different ways to get Bernie Sanders out. And one of the things, and this was proven through a leaked email, one of the things that they did was try to say, hey, let's call him an atheist and people won't want to vote for him. Well, he's already Jewish. We've never voted anyone into office who didn't hold a Christian or JFK Catholic religion. So him being Jewish is already hard to swallow for many people. We've had Mormons who've run for presidency who've lost, and I don't know if it's about their religious beliefs or not, but Americans love to vote for Christian presidents. So the fact that they tried to use atheism as a way to get to him is crazy, because here he is, he's out here saying he's Jewish, which can be off-putting to many American voters already as it is. So what they're trying to do here, and why people are wondering why is this even news, is this is Fox News, yet again, trying to tell all of the Christians and the evangelicals that Bernie will not be good because he doesn't know the Bible and because he's against Israel. And he's not really against Israel. He just thinks that it's kind of crappy that Israel banned Congress, two congresswomen from going there.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things I can say about this. This could be a whole 1 hour episode. Shopam, you go first before I start talking.
Well, I'm not much versed on US politics, so I think you should go.
Yeah, so first of all, this is going to be more. I don't know if Bernie Sanders being Jewish is going to be highlighted more and more if he becomes a front runner. I don't know if they're going to use that. I think some people are going to use that and try to to promote him as the first woman, first black president, first Jewish president. I hope Bernie Sanders doesn't get into that, playing identity politics, because it's the most irrelevant thing that should not matter to anybody. Did he say anything that suggests that he's going to use that? I hope he doesn't start using that.
I guarantee you he doesn't. He stayed outrageously quiet in the 2016 elections about his religion at all, and that's why the DNC
it's not
said
his religion. It's his because he doesn't. I don't think ethnicity. Because I don't think he has a Jewish religion. But go on.
You don't?
No, it seems like he just has like a God belief without any religious beliefs. But go on.
Okay. He didn't bring up religion at all in 2016 primaries. That's why they were planning on getting him for being an atheist. So I don't think that he is going to be playing up the fact that he's a Jew. I think right now what he's doing is he's saying, hey, The only reason why it was brought up this time was because he is saying, look, even as a Jewish person, I disagree with Israel banning Congress. And I don't think that this is, he's not big into identity politics. He's not big about showboating or using things to get his way. So I don't think that it is something he's going to be playing up.
I mean, identity politics, he did one time said white people don't know what it's like to be poor, which was one of the things that he said that was bad. But to be fair, that was the only time he said something that, compared to other people playing politics.
Compared to other people, I mean, yeah.
He's that was pretty bad though. That was pretty bad, and people thought we were taking him out of context. But if you actually listen to him, that was the entire context, and his excuse for it later didn't really help as much either. So that's one major negative that Sanders said. White people don't know how it feels like to be poor. That's really bad. But again, compared to other people, he hasn't played the identity politics that much, which is great. But it's very. I mean, the fact that people are using the word Israel and Jewish people interchangeably is just so wrong. And the fact, and Trump does that as well. Like, Trump comes into the American Jewish people and he's tells them, American citizens, Jewish Americans, and he says, I met with your president. And he's talking about Netanyahu. What are you talking about? You're their president. They're American citizens. And these are the same people that say, Ilhan Omar is anti-Semite because she criticized Israel. Again, Ilhan Omar has said many things that I disagree with, but they say that she's an anti-Semite for criticizing Israel, and then yet they're talking about dual loyalties as if that's not, a very anti-Semitic thing to say. That apparently because you're Jewish, you have to, this is again two different positions, right? Like, if you are anti-Israel and you're Jewish American, they're like, oh, you're disloyal to Israel, as if because of your ethnicity you have to support certain countries' policies. So that's all anti-Semitic. But the other side of it is also anti-Semitic, that if you do support Israel, then you have dual loyalties and you're not loyal to the country that you belong to. So both sides of this is anti-Semitic, because your ethnicity shouldn't have anything to do with what positions people expect of you to hold, right? It could be Jewish American or Jewish Israeli. Actually, I went to Israel. I met a lot of Jewish people there that are against their own country's policies, and a lot of them support that. But if you're holding people's races against them to whether support a country or if they do support a country, to use it against them, to be like, oh, you're Jewish, of course you support Israel. Both of those are anti-Semitic. Both of them are completely against each other, but both of them are anti-Semitic. But people that are going after Sanders if you just bring up his race at all to suggest what positions he should be taking, or having to know the Bible, why should he know the Bible? That's irrelevant. Like, oh, he doesn't know anything about the Bible. Good. It's irrelevant. He's a politician. He's supposed to run a country. Why? There's no useful information in there. Why does he need to know the Bible? And he's completely, it's so, okay, first, so you think because he's Jewish, he needs to know the Bible? No, he has better things to do, okay? He needs to know how to run a country. That's what he needs to know, okay? I mean, I disagree with Bernie Sanders on many things, okay? Especially about economic stuff. But these kind of accusations, do you think it's fair to say that this comment by this pastor is anti-Semitic? Because I think if you bring people's races and try to use it against them or in support of them, you're playing the identity politics, and at the end of the day, it's a racist game to play. I do think that Bernie Sanders, even though I'm against his economic policies, I support him because he's against the war in Yemen, right? And I think he's probably the only politician that if he gets elected, I'm almost more likely than other people that is going to stop wars like that, right? Compared to other politicians. So, and I think the humanitarian crisis in Yemen, when it comes to a global scale, when it comes to human suffering, matters more than whatever cost the economy will have based on some of the policies that he might bring up. So I think given that that's the priority of how many people are suffering, and given how much money you could save from not having wars like that, will cover, it's very interesting to me. By the way, I'm getting a little bit off tangent, but I just want to get this and then I'll stop. But they're arguing over whether they should cover healthcare or not, whether they should, pay for education or not. But if they just stop going to half of these wars, you don't even need to increase taxes to cover a lot of these things. So that's why I support, even though I'm a free market capitalist, I support Bernie Sanders. I mean, I would if I was American. What do you guys think?
I'm voting for Bernie.
You're voting for Bernie. Shupam, what do you? I mean, you said you don't know. By the way, you've all in the Facebook.
Well, now I think
Yeah.
I don't know much about it, but from what I've heard about him, I think he's the best choice right now for the US.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying he's the best choice as a free market capitalist. So, and that's. Yuval is saying Sanders actually lived in Israel in the 80s. Oh, did you guys know that? I didn't know that. Oh no, in the 60s. Yeah, it could be in. Yeah, never mind. I was gonna make an old old age joke, but I stopped myself. Anything else you guys want? Oh wait, we didn't read the top comment. Top comment: Bill, the pastor shouldn't be commenting on political affairs. Stick to the delusion you're most familiar with, and fleece those sheep. Wait, yeah. I mean, shouldn't these pastors be paying taxes if they're commenting on politics? Like, isn't that like against IRS rules for them to be commenting? I don't know. Nicholas saying, well, he's Jewish, so what's your point? I'm also pretty sure he knows more than some two-bit pastor. I don't think he needs to know about Israel, the Bible at all. Justin saying, any other nice words about the good senator? Yeah, because so. I see. Shelly saying, I view this as a positive. Yeah, so Justin and Shelly are saying not knowing about the Bible is not a negative, it's a positive. Ali, did you want to add anything?
No.
Why are you voting for Bernie?
That's a whole show.
Okay, that's a whole show. By the way, what do you think?
Much.
What do you think about people? So I'm Canadian. You're American. What do you think about people that say that you shouldn't be commenting on Sanders because you're not even American?
That's crazy. And we've been doing this with everything. People just want to shut people up nowadays, especially if you don't agree with them. If you're a man, you can't talk about feminism. If you're a woman, you can't talk about circumcision. If you're this, you can't do that. Jesus Christ, everyone has a voice. Everyone has an opinion. No, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I agree. Anyway, so that was our last news. Let's see. Thank who stayed by. Belinda, Casey Atheist, Shobham, Yuval, Camulos, Bobby, Doorknob Head, Beige, Shane, Trump Kingpin. I think Mike might be here. Live long and prosper. He's gonna say Mars is here. GV, Infidel Apostate. Yeah, Chris is still here. Great. Thank you guys for commenting. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for correcting us when we made a mistake. And
I really liked our live chat today, so thank you, everyone.
Yeah, thank you guys. And thank you, Ali and Shupam, for co-hosting today's show with me.
Yeah, thank you, Armin. Thank you, Ali. And it's great to have Ali back after 2 weeks break.
Yeah, yes. And yeah, okay. See you guys next week.